um, factually there, which comes into expression. So when you apply that to a person who has the characteristics of this number 1, you will find the ability to come up with something new, to experience his own individuality in a very clear way. So a number 1 has a good understanding of being an individual. When we see the characteristics of number 2 coming out, which is connected to the element of water, which is flowing, we can imagine that water will fill up every gap and it will keep you floating. So these characteristics you will also find in people who are characterized by number 2. By the way, I think most people will understand how the numbers evolve, or how the numbers are delineated from the date of birth.
I think it might be useful for you to quickly summarize, because some people are quite new to numerology.
I will.
That'd be great, thank you.
So by getting to your personal numbers, you need your date of birth, your month of birth, and your year of birth. And to make it more precise, approximately your time of birth. Your birthday, so the day of the month on which you were born, will signify your psychic number. It's called your psychic number, which is connected to your personal experience of doing in the world, of going out and expressing yourself. The total number derived from your date of birth, your month, and your year of birth is called the psychic number, the destiny number. And it signifies those things you experience as happening to you. Those things which are more hidden inside and come out sometimes, especially when you're young, in a way that is very difficult to understand because you don't have that experience yet. So the psychic number will work from the beginning and will have a strong influence up to about 28 to 35 years. Then you'll see the influence of the destiny number, although it's all the time there, will become more clear. And you can start to cooperate with your destiny numbers so that you can tune into what is. As I started, the numbers signify a path through which the unseen, invisible energies become manifested. And as I started, number 2 will have this watery characteristics of communicating, making contact with, and these abilities and these talents will show quite early in life. A child with a number 2, very prominent, will love to communicate and talk and play together, doesn't like to be alone. No child likes very much to be alone, but you know, some children like number 7, they can play a long time by themselves. But number 2 will always need some, you call it, somebody to reflect what is expressed. Number 3 people governed by Jupiter, they have an expression in their physical body which is sturdy, which is strong, have a strong middle part of the body. You know, and for ladies it can be a problem later in life because they want to be slim in that middle part, but people under the influence of number 3 will have this area around the liver becoming a little bigger, more accentuated. They have lots of power, lots of energy, lots of power to achieve and endure. They have an inborn kind of wisdom to make connections in their brain which are kind of new. Number 4 people, so when you are born on the 4th, on the 13th, or 22 of a month, or the total sum comes to a number 4. The influence of Rahu, which is not a planet, but is a point in the galaxy around us where the line of moon passes the midline of Earth. There are 2 points, north and south. So this southern part, this northern part, north node, is called Rahu. And it has some qualities which can be compared to the Western planet Uranus in astrology. It can have sudden things. It can change directions very suddenly. It can be eccentric. And these qualities you will find even in young children. Like a real number 4 child will start a sentence and jump 180 degrees and say something completely different. For other people, it may be totally unconnected, but for them it makes sense. And they are very duty-driven, very conscientious in doing their duty. And they get very irritated if somebody disturbs them in that. So if you have a number 4 child and it plays and does something, don't disturb it. Otherwise, you'll get a very angry person against you. Number 5 people are governed by Mercury, which is the planet of commerce, of communication also, and rational thinking, logical thinking. So in number 5 people, you will find this ability to wheel and deal and cope with different situations, communicate with many different kind of people very easily. And very clever in business, seeing where the advantage is long before anybody else sees it. Number 6 is governed by planet Venus, which is the planet signifying beauty and also granting the ability to experience beauty in many ways. You can physically enjoy the sight of a beautiful flower or a young horse jumping in the meadow and enjoying the lines of the muscles and the movement like a ballet. So these things are number 6 people have a sense of refinement. They love beauty, they love beautiful things, beautiful for men, beautiful ladies, for ladies, beautiful men. And they have a fine artistic feeling. They have a sense of balance. Number 7 people are governed by Ketu, which is the opposite of Rahu, number 4. And Ketu is very interested in mysticism, in philosophy, in thinking. And so sometimes the acting stays in the background. And these numbers can become very theoretical. Also in scientists, they can become very theoretical. Not having a lot of connections with, like number 2, with their emotions. Number 2 is all emotions. I feel this, I have intuition. Oh, we should do that. Number 7 will take a piece of paper and write it down, analyze it, and then say, yes, I think we have to. So it's a different way this energy expresses. Number 8 people who are governed by number 8, they are governed by planet Saturn. My doorbell goes. Sorry. If it goes again, I have to jump up and close it. Number 8 people are governed by Saturn, and Saturn is considered a difficult planet because I have to hit somebody on the head.
You carry on. It's okay. Whilst Rudi is gone, let me just, so once Rudi finishes his quick introduction to the numbers, there will be an opportunity for all of you to ask questions. So this is a good time for you to perhaps start to think of those questions. I would like you to type your questions in the chat window. You can send them either only to me on the chat window if you want to remain anonymous, or you can type it for everybody to see. So you type the message on the chat window to everybody, and I will then ask those questions and get you answers from Rudi. So if anybody wants to start to think of questions, or if you already have questions, please feel free to start to type those questions.
And the book I'd like to suggest everybody, I know a lot of people on this chat have this book already. It is by Harish Johari, called Numerology. And this is a very comprehensive book that explains everything, how to get the name number, psychic number, destiny number, the gemstones, the yantras, the mantras, everything. So Sona can maybe put that in the chat as well, but I just wanted to show everyone. Already done.
Yeah, a friend came to visit. I'm sorry. Yeah, in my home, people can walk in, and he didn't know I was busy. We were with number 8, right?
Yes.
Okay. So number 8 governed by Saturn, and Saturn, many people are very afraid of the influence of Saturn because he makes things slow. He is the Lord of time, so he watches the clock. And when time is there for you to go, he cuts the line so that you are free to go. He is the Lord of the threshold, and he is the guardian of the 6th chakra, where you can only get understanding by hard working, by doing tapasya. So there is a beautiful book of a man, a writer called Svoboda, which is the greatness of Saturn. I can advise it to everybody because we all get problems with Saturn sometime or the other. By the way, today is the day of Saturn, Saturday. Last but not least is number 9. Number 9 is governed by Mars. And number 9 is like very idealistic. He will fight for a cause. And Mars is known as a fighter, a god of war. And number 9 is also a warrior, but a warrior for a cause. He will serve the master, which is the ideal. He will try to defend the ideal, whether it be religion or politics or whatever. His ideal he will defend and fight for. So this was a little taste of the numbers. The complication is that all those numbers combine and they become individual in individual persons. So understanding numerology is a very good tool to understand yourself, to understand your motivations, to understand that part of you which is not visible, not touchable, cannot be reached by senses, but it expresses. And it expresses in a way which is channeled by the numbers. So you can recognize those patterns and get to understand your own behavior and that of others. Thank you.
Thank you, Rudi. That was really, really insightful and useful. A very good comprehensive introduction and a run through of the numbers. Can I now invite everybody to ask any questions you have? You can, like I said earlier, type them in the chat window and either send it to me or you can send it to everybody. But I will read out the questions. But I have a question, Rudi, that if you don't mind me. You know, numerology is a very fascinating topic. You know, there's a lot of insights in it. It you know, brings a lot of characteristics, personalities. But according to you, what's the biggest benefit or of understanding numerology? How can people, individuals, benefit from this?
I think everybody can benefit by understanding that part of your being, which psychologists call the subconscious or the unconscious part, which only means that you have no way to approach it. You see, you cannot touch it, you cannot hear it, you cannot feel it, but it's still there. It's like the part of the iceberg which is underwater. It is there, but it's beyond sight. You cannot reach it. Numerology can help you to recognize the patterns which are there in the subconscious mind and understand how they evolve into behavior, into experiences, because your own state of mind determines the experience you will get. So most of what we do and decide and think about all comes like sprouting out from that part which you cannot see. You can admire a beautiful oak tree and see how grand and big it is and see the leaves and see the fruits on it and see the branches, but you can't see the roots.
Sure.
So for that tree to understand its roots, it has to go inside and downward. It has to go inside. So for human, it's the same thing. If you want to understand yourself and the world, you'll have to look inside. That's where it's not visible, but you can get there by using tools like numerology, astrology, and such.
Great, thank you, thank you. That's a very nice answer. That's a very nice analogy. A number of people are asking for the name of that book again, please, that you talked about for Saturn.
That is a writer called Swoboda, has also attended lectures of Harish Johari, and he is a great writer. And one of the books he wrote is The Greatness of Saturn, which are tales from the Hindu culture, the Indian culture, about Saturn and how he works. And it's very much enlightening and you get very much love and respect for this guy who is so terrible, you know. People are very scared of him. And he gives beautiful stories to actually see Saturn working in people's life, creating obstacles and problems, but leading to enlightenment.
Okay, that's great. I've written the name of the book. I'll send it to all of you in a second.
I think his name is Robert Swoboda.
Okay, great. We have a question. The question is, what is a balancing action somebody who is a psychic number 2, they can do to balance or, you know, unblock communication so that, you know, I guess they have ease of communication? What is the actions they can take?
Number 2 is a natural communicator, but this communication is only based on what they feel. So if the feelings are disturbed by either anger or disappointment or anything else, then this communication will not easily come out, and they will kind of retreat or become frustrated. So for any number to understand and to work with its own expression, any form of art will be a great help. Either singing or painting or think of it, any form of art will be helpful. Now the windows are making lots of noise.
Everything is open in your house, the windows and the doors.
Let's allemaal.
Great,
And
thank you.
now I have a helper visiting, so it's okay.
Right, there's someone who would like you to talk again about number one. I think they may have missed it earlier. Or if you could just quickly explain number one again, the main characteristics of number one.
In numerology, number one is associated with the sun. And the sun is the central body of our solar system. All the planets revolve around it, and number one keeps it together. This is what number one does, just like the sun. It's an analog of the sun. So a number one person will like to have a situation in his life in which he can govern, in which he can boss around. He can instruct others to do things. He can give orders, and he can. If he's a balanced number one, he will have a very good oversight of situations. He will not get lost in details, but keep a good oversight. So this is the strong point of number one. When too much resistance comes, and like when number one will meet number 8, there will be some Saturnal resistance coming, which can be very frustrating for number one, because he likes to hurry up. Come on, don't lose time, do it now. And number 8 is, well, the better time is to do it next week. And then number one will go into a discussion and why and fight and get angry and more of that stuff. So it is a different game between those two numbers. But number one basically wants to be free to express, and he loves to apply his willpower, and not only to the matter around him, but also on the people around him. He'll be bossy.
I'm a number one. It shows, right?
It doesn't have to be bad, as long as you can keep the balance, because this power also inspires others to follow. So number one generates the energy, the situation which he can express his energy.
Thank you. So how could somebody who, what is the balancing activity that a parent who is a number 2 psychic, number 5 destiny, and their relationship with their young child who's a psychic 7 and destiny 6, what is the balancing activity this parent could take to enhance their relationship with their child?
The first thing I can advise to any parents is be balanced yourself, to start with. So find out how you yourself can achieve emotional balance, mental balance, physical balance. So living in a way that will help you balance will automatically help the child to balance. Because the child is like a little monkey, monkey see, monkey do. And they don't even have to see it. They can eat it. My Shushma knows that how important food is. That's why she will spend hours and hours and hours in the kitchen. Because she knows that the influence of that food will go much further than words and ideas can go. They go straight in. So that would be the best way. But nowadays, life is organized in such a way that children eat at school or somewhere else. I won't tell you where, but and this creates a difference in the biochemistry of the body. When you eat from the same pot, you eat the same food, which is prepared in a good way, your body chemistry will be in tune with those others that eat it also. So that makes it much easier to organize a family life, to be a family. Because if the biochemistry matches, then the emotions will be understood by one another. And even if there is problem, there will be problems. It's much easier to find a way to work around it. But if everybody eats a different kind of food, like one each eats with Mr. McDonald's and the other eats with Burger King, and the other cooks something and eats it, then their minds are already in a different direction. So having a child with different numbers or even enemy numbers can be very helpful in establishing a relationship, because they bring you something which you don't have, which you have inside, because all numbers work in everybody, but the accent is different. All numbers will work on their own time in everybody, whatever your numbers are, because the numbers of the day, the days of the week, your age, all these things are influences which will have an impact. And by numerology, you can understand those impacts much easier and deal with them. If you know you have a number 2 child, you know you have a child which is very emotional. So when it gets disturbed, you know, it's very important for you to stay calm and not to become irritated or angry, because that will create anger and irritation in the child. At that moment you can sing a song, you have solved 90% of the problem.
Great, thank you. The next question we have is, could you also speak about master numbers and their context with psychic destiny and name numbers?
Master numbers are special numbers like combination of 1 and 3, 2 and 2, 4 and 4. And these have specific influences. Which, if you have that number, it might be a good idea to study those specific influences. Like number 22 is a 4, but because 2 number 2s are there, this effect of Uranus will become even stronger, because 2 is changeable, is fluent, and then this Uranus Rahu kind of energy, which is disrupting sometimes, will create problems and in the psyche of that child, because a number 4 does not express so easily. So when they are angry, a good parent can see when they are angry. They can feel it, but most people will not notice. They can keep it inside. So it's good to know the underlying energy there, and also to recognize the physical problems which can come from that, because they can overtax their nervous system and get problems, health problems related to the nervous system, like in speech, stuttering, epileptic kind of seizures and absences, in which the nervous system has like a short circuit. for a moment. Or they can suddenly become very angry without any trace, without you can find out no reason. But then there was something they were thinking about or something that happened some while ago, and by association and memory became revived. That will take their nervous system immediately to that place. And even if you just said a nice word, they will become angry. So people don't understand that and see them as kind of unreliable, jerky people.
Okay, thank you. The next question we have from Lisa. She says she's a destiny number 4 and a psychic number 7, and at the moment feeling quite stuck and having a lot of difficulties in terms of next steps to take, and in terms of where she wants to get to. She's tried meditation, which has offered some insight, but she's asking what is the best thing or practice that she could do to get the answers that she's seeking.
Number 4 and 7 have a contradiction in the way they work. They are enemy numbers. Now, it doesn't mean that they are enemies, but it means that they arouse a very active energy in each other. So both of them can arouse this energy. And when this energy is channeled in the right way, they can do miracles. They can do lots of constructive work together, as long as they are in a way in which they can have these contradicting energies working together. Nevertheless, it can create problems if it is a partnership like a husband and wife, or 2 children in the same family. Then things like meditation become a little difficult because of this arousing energy which is there. So something like activity together will be very good. If you have a child with 4 and 7, you have somebody who has a very inventive mind, a kind of dreaming mind inside, but on the outside, somebody who wants to be practical. No nonsense, no yesterday, not right now, right here, and in this way, no other way. So this conflict will be in the same person. So in some situation, it will be very much withdrawn. In other situations, it will explode. And as a parent, it's quite difficult to find the balance in that. But if you understand the numbers, and you understand the numbers of days and other influences which can be there, because you know the child, you know the experiences it had, then you can find a way much more easy to balance it out and give it a positive turn.
Thank you. Sushma, is there any particular yantra that could help as well in Lisa's case? You need to go off mute.
Yeah, hi. If number 4 and number 7, the combination of Rahu and Ketu, then better you make Rahu Yantra. With the help of Vedic square, make a mandala around that number 7. The Ketu mandala, and the Yantra should be the Rahu. Because our mandala is a never-ending energy. And our the dot, when you start the circulate, that is the expansion of our consciousness. So mandala is an expansion of our consciousness. So when you make the Rahu yantra, then it means you are invoking the Rahu energy. So it will come in your favor. And when the Rahu energy is there existing, and then you start the making mandala of the Ketu number 7, then that energy will cooperate each other, and that will tune you, and that will help and relax to your mind, your soul, and you will soon feel very calm and no conflict in that.
Thank you. Thank you. That's great. We have our next question, which is how can someone tell when their destiny number is starting to kind of impact them more? How can they tell when they begin to embody more of their destiny number? Is there a sign? And this person has a destiny 9 and a psychic 3.
The time which I mentioned is mostly around the Saturn return in your horoscope, that your destiny number will become more prominent and consciously prominent. You will understand why it comes. So around that age, you can also consciously work with things like mandala and yantras to balance that energy. The combination of number 3 and 9 is actually a very nice combination, a very good combination, but it can have too much fire, too much energy. Number 3 is Jupiter, which is a hot, fiery planet. They call it Guru, very huge, and it has lots of satellites. So it's like a powerhouse. And then inside, and the destiny number is more insight, like Shushmama just said about the yantar, the mandala. So the destiny number is more insight and takes time to come out and to express. This number combination will, in the beginning of life, make a person very creative, very good in organizing things. Even as a child, they were organized, the child play. You do this, and I'm the doctor, or something like that. This number 9 energy will bring a fiery kind of energy, which doesn't like to be opposed. If it gets angry, it will react like a ram. When a ram attacks, he doesn't see where it's going because his horns are pointing forward, but his eyes are pointing to the ground, so he doesn't know where he's going. And this is counter the energy of number 3, who has a kind of wisdom and looking around before acting. This number 9 will be rash, and coming from the inside, it can cause some embarrassment for number 3 psyche. But further, it will support the activity of number 3, and it will help to make number 3 more pure, more idealistic, a good sense of morale.
Thank you. I'm just conscious of time. We've got 3 minutes left of the scheduled 1-hour meeting. I know we started a few minutes late, so I'm happy to continue for extra 10 minutes if everybody's okay to stay on. We've got quite a lot of questions, and I'd like as many of those to be answered as possible, but I can understand if any of you need to go, if you've got other prior commitments that you need to get to. I will continue to ask the other questions. What I have also posted on the chat window is my contact details. If any of you want to stay updated of any future numerology sessions with Rudi that we organize, please drop me a note. Or if you want a one-on-one consultation with Rudi, then I'm very pleased to arrange that as well. What I also posted earlier on was Neva's Art of Inner Joy. Neva is a brilliant coach and a mentor and a healer. So if any of you want any of those sessions, please feel free to contact me or you can contact Neva directly on the page that I posted earlier. If any of you need to go, you can drop off now. Otherwise, I'll continue with the next question. So next question I have here is, Oh, I just don't want to miss any questions. Sorry. Right. Okay. So this is from Rudolph. The question is, my psychic number is 4 and the destiny is 6. Rudolph is 28 years old, about to turn 29. So Rudolph was asking what changes could they expect to see transitioning from a psychic 4 to a destiny 6?
Mhm. The restlessness from the time that passed already in your life and the sudden changes which you had to endure under the influence of number 4 will become less. By now, you must have gotten used to change, sudden changes, like you work for something and you finally achieve what you wanted, and then the next day something happened and it's gone and you have to start again. This will happen in number 4's life, even if more than once. It can be felt like tragedy and lots of headache, but it can also signify the energy, the power to overcome obstacles, the power to overcome disappointment and problems. Number 4 will have problems in dealing with people because they are noise. Number 4 will have this sudden changes and dealing with people, while inside number 6 is very loving, romantic, and loves harmony. So inside there will be frustration, but with the influence of number 6, more and more harmony can come into your life, and you will be able to find a person with which you can share this harmony easier.
Great, thank you. Next question is quite an interesting one. It is advice for married couples, married partners who have the same psychic and destiny numbers.
It depends on what numbers they have. Some numbers can work very well with the same number. But even if you have the same numbers, even if you were born on the same day, there will be lots of differences. The influence in a person's life are, you can characterize them by the numbers and the date of birth, but there's a lot more influences, like 7 generations of your father's side and 7 generations of your mother's side will have influences in your actual life. So traces of the behaviors of those ancestors will be there. With the same numbers, you will still have lots of different influences. And it depends on the numbers and their characteristics if you will be able to find a way to harmonize it. It's neither good nor bad. It can make the relationship a little less active because you know each other so well. So the activity, the conflicting energy can be too little. In a relationship, you need both. You need attraction and you need repulsion, so that you start working like the sun and the planets. They attract one another tremendously, but they also are moved out away, and the balance of it keeps them revolving and makes it a system. Same thing in relation. There is differences and there is points of attraction, and those work together to make a relationship a relationship.
That's right. That's right. Thank you for that. We had a next question about from Jenny, who wanted to know how to do their numbers, but I can see Neva. Thank you. You've kindly already answered that question, Jenny. Hopefully, that's been clear enough. If not, please drop another note, and we can go through that again. The next question we have is if you could please talk about numbers 7 and number 4, because they don't have a physical representation. So how does one keep their grounding without a physical representation like other numbers that have a physical representation?
Although they don't have a physical representation in the form of a planet, they are points in space, which is not an empty place, but it's filled up with many, many, many things. But it's a certain point which you can imagine like a looking glass. When the stars which are behind that, so further away, when they pass, they sometimes get shine through that looking glass on Earth, and their influence will be felt on Earth. So although they don't have a physical body, they have a great influence because they are much nearer than the planets. They are closer than the moon mostly is. So they are very, very close to Earth. Points that work like a magnifying glass. So what is behind it in astrology will get colored by their properties, by their qualities, and then transferred to Earth. So number 4 and 7 in one person will give sometimes insight, contradictory outcome, input, which is also it's like stepping on the gas pedal with the brakes on. You know, it wants to go there, but there's something blocking it. This kind of frustration, a person with these two numbers in the same person will experience many times. They can easily feel stuck. When 7 is the psychic number, then even from childhood there will be a shyness, the inclination to retreat, because they cannot express. Emotions are absolutely felt, and they are felt very strongly, but they cannot be expressed. So when they come out, they can come out like a volcano eruption. Nobody expecting it. Somebody says the wrong word and this person will boom, explode. And it will be gone very quickly also. They don't walk around with it long time, but it can be very difficult for other people to understand, and for the person himself also, because when we are young, we don't have much understanding of it. We just experience this frustration. I want to do this, and nobody lets me do what I want. And you always try to stop me. So in puberty, they will create some problem.
Thank you. The next question is, can you please speak about the metaphysical correspondence with the stomach and the universe, specifically gut biomy and other aspects of digestion and emotions with bowels?
In numbers have a specific area of the body in which they will work stronger. They will have an accent. Like in the bowels, especially the small intestines and also the large intestines, number 2 can get problems, especially in childhood. When they get nervous, their bowels start moving too fast. So they will have sometimes problems with urine or defecation. it's mostly nerve driven. When they get nervous, they can get a terrible pain in the stomach because the gases do not flow in a proper way and they get blocked, and they can feel very uncomfortable with that. Like number 5 people will also have this strong nervous energy, but that will come out as problems in their lower back. You know? And number 1 people can also get problems in the nervous system, but that will come out in their neck, in their head, you know, in the cranium, in their brain, or in their heart, which is also governed by number 1. So every number has specific effect. Number 9 people will strongly have it in the head, the neck, and muscles. And number 3 people in the middle of the body, the liver, the gallbladder, and problems that can come from that. Like number 3 people, if they don't feel well, they have to be very conscious of the amount of fats which they eat. They can digest very well, but they have to moderate themselves. Otherwise, they will build up very quickly a layer of extra fat around the body.
Thank you. Very insightful. I'm afraid we very quickly run out of the extra 10 minutes. There are still some questions here, and I don't want any of the questions unanswered. So Kayla and Isaac, if you won't mind dropping me your email address, I will get you answers to these questions from Rudi. There's a few questions left, but I don't want to keep Rudi for too long. Thank you for your time, Rudi. That's been extremely valuable and insightful. I hope all of you have found it very useful. Like I said earlier, my contact details are in the chat window. So if you would like to stay in touch, please drop me a note. And like I said, I will get you answers to some of the questions that we didn't get time to get around to. Thank you. Ram Ram, everyone.
It was my pleasure.
Thank you, Rudi. Ram Ram.
Ram Ram.
Ram Ram, everyone. Ram Ram.